In finite things, the conscious infinite dwells. So where is it that infinity does not exist? It is there everywhere, in every speck, in every dust of particle matter is there. Where is that infinity, that eternity which does not exist? It is in every moment, in every process, in every step. Involved, it sleeps in matter's helpless trance. Helpless trance, again with a purpose. It rules the world from a sleeping, senseless void. Dreaming, it throws out mind and heart and soul. It throws out mind and heart and soul. To labor crippled, bound on a hard earth, a broken hole, it whirls through scattered points. Its gleaming shards are wisdom's diamond thoughts. Its shadowy reflects our ignorance. Its shadowy reflects our ignorance. What is our ignorance? Its shadowy reflects, kind of a reaction of that thing. Wisdom diamond thought, gleaming shards of wisdom diamond thought. So Savitri has really gone into a kind of poetic rapture. She is in a poetic rapture to elaborate all these things in great detail. Dreaming, it throws out mind and heart and soul to labor crippled, bound on the hard earth. Broken hole, it whirls through scattered points. Its gleaming shards are wisdom diamond thorn. Its shadowy reflects our ignorance. It starts from the mute mass in countless jets. It fashions a being out of brain and nerve, a sentient creature from its pleasure and pain. A pack of feelings. Actually, it is this which should be the guiding light, guiding principle, guiding motivation behind all science we do. It starts from mute mass in countless jets. It fashions a being out of brain and nerve, a sentient creature from its pleasure and pain. See, our modern science is what? You break, analyze, till you go nowhere. There is a kind of, see, yeah, you are really going nowhere at all in the whole process. You have got now such large, you started with molecules, you start with atoms, you start with electrons, you go back down into the nucleus, down below again, and small particles, whether they exist or not, we don't know at all. Now, is that really the way, analytical process, it is that which is bound to lead you to this difficulty. Why analytical? Because it is mental. The whole approach of mind is analyzed by break. By breaking, you can't arrive at truth. If you have to arrive at truth, you have to go by synthesis from down below, from the fundamental. A broken whole, it was through scattered points. Now it is that which has to be reversed. How things can. See, as I told you many times, you have got hydrogen and water. Hydrogen has certain properties, water has certain properties. When they combine together, you get water. Water has altogether different properties, which are neither present in hydrogen nor in water. Where from have those new properties come by their coming together of hydrogen and oxygen coming together and forming water? How have new properties arrived? That we don't know at all. The real pursuit should be how the new properties arrive in that kind of a combination, in that kind of a synthesis, in that kind of an integration of matter while going upward. It is that which we have to really pursue. Not take water and break and do this. Ultimately, you land nowhere. You don't understand anything at all finally, you see. So the true science should really start from that way, you see. His gleaming stars of wisdom, it starts from mute mass in countless days. It fashions a being out of brain and nerve, a sentient creature from its pleasure and pain. A pack of feelings obscure, a dot of sense survives a while, answering the shocks of life, then crushed or its force spent, leaves a dead form, leaves a huge universe in which it lived, an insignificant, unconsidered guest. This is what happens finally, you see. Then crushed or its force spent, leaves the dead form, you see. Leaves the huge universe in which it lived. So you disappear from the universe and go and feel that you are here, an unconsidered guest. But while all this is happening, but the soul grows concealed within its house. It gives the body its strength and magnificence. It follows aims in an ignorant, aimless world. It lends significance to Earth's meaningless life. It lends significance to Earth's meaningless life. So it is why in other words, really our science has to find out a synthesis, a synthetic way, the process of integration, of moving upward. Then only you can really come to the truth of reality, you see. A demigod animal. So in the whole process what has happened? Has arrived on the scene a demigod animal, man, a thinking man. Thinking man, he is a demigod animal, you see. So that is how it has happened, integration. He wallows in mud, this man, this thinking man, he wallows in mud, yet heavenward soars in thought. That is the human aspiration. That is the nice thing about man, that there is something which is burning upward. He opens himself to some extent. He wallows in mud, he yet heavenward soars in thought. He plays and ponders, laughs and weaves and dreams, laughs and weaves and dreams. Yes, we dream also of higher things, of nobler things. We hope also for them, you see. Laughs and weaves, as I told you many times, this is a phrase, laughs and weaves appear 3 times in Savitri. From Pilgrim's Progress. This is a phrase from Pilgrim's Progress. Laughs and weaves, but Savitri has added here dreams also. Pilgrim's Progress has only laughs and dreams. This is Shivandu. Satisfies his little longings like the beast, he pores upon life's book with student eyes. So how man is growing, she's talking about that. Out of this tangle of intellect and sense, out of the narrow scope of finite thought, at last he wakes into spiritual mind. She is very rapidly tracing the entire course of evolution of consciousness and how it has come to the stage of man and how man is looking beyond the mental possibilities of spiritual mind. At last, he wakes into spiritual mind. A high liberty begins. So with that spiritual mind, there is a high liberty. There is a luminous room. He glimpses eternity, touches the infinite. He meets the gods in great and sudden hours. He feels the universe as his larger self, makes space and time his opportunity to join the heights and depths of being in life. In the heart's cave, speaks secretly with God. So you go back into your cave of tapasya Hridaya Guha, heart's cave. Hridaya Guha. That is the Upanishadic phrase, the cave of heart. It is here the soul dwells, in Hridaya Guha. To join the highest and depths in the heart's cave, speak secretly with God, Hridaya Guha. So it is within the soul that you speak directly with the God, you see. But there are touches and high moments lived while you are living secretly. There are also moments. Fragments of Truth Supreme have lit his soul, reflections of the sun in waters still. You can see sometimes the possibility, the fragments of truth. All the spiritual knowledge which has come through many sources, through the ages, through time, Eastern, Western, through different religions, fragments of truth. All religions are in fact fragments of spiritual truth, of knowledge. The problem with mind is you cling to a fragment and they start quarreling. Each one is a truth, but of a specific kind. And when you confine yourself exclusively to it, then the problems start coming up. Fragments of Truth Supreme have lit his soul, reflections of the sun in waters still. Christ came with the power of love, with love for mankind. It is his incarnation which humanized Europe. Shivamandu says that incarnation humanized Europe, Christ. But that was not sufficient. What he lacked, love, yes, but what he lacked was power. And therefore it had to fail. It had to fail. Fragments of truth. The Indian traditions of spirituality. It is exclusively this or this or this or this or this. See, at one time in India, see, we had two sects, the worshippers of Shiva and the worshippers of Vishnu. And they would not see each other at all. They would not mix up with each other at all, you see. Vaishnava and Shaivites, as they are called, they would not meet each other, talk with each other. The question of marriage or exchange was out at that time, you see. In fact, if the dead body of a Vaishnava is being taken on the road, all the Shaivites would close their doors. It was that kind of a thing, you see. Fragments of each one has a truth, but it is now become so exclusively. It happened in the case of India, everywhere. In all the cults, it has happened. Every cult becomes exclusive and therefore also a problem, you see. Now, they are true, they are reflections of the sun in water still, but we have no way of understanding the totality of the thing, you see. Fragments of Truth Supreme have lit his soul, reflections of the sun in water still. If few had dared the last supreme ascent, the rishis, the sages, the mystics, the saints, and break through borders of binding light above, and feel a breath around of mightier air, receive a vaster being's messages, and bathe in its immense intuitive ray, and bathe intuitive ray. The rishis have done that, the sages have done that, the saints have done that. The European mystics, there are people who have done that kind of a thing, you see. They have attained those things, you see. But again, exclusive. And receive vast beings' messages. And now Savitri is giving a lesson of these climbing planes beyond mind. To Yama, she is now, look, mental being. Mind has reason to this point. Mind, man can have even those higher glimpses also. But then beyond that, there are layers and layers of knowledge and illumination to which you have to climb. And therefore, on summit mind are radiant attitudes exposed to the luster of infinity. Outskirts and dependencies is the house of truth. That kind of promises, that kind of fear. Words. Appraised states of mind and measureless. This is something new. I mean, people have known these things, but they have not explicitly stated these things in any precise manner. All these things, what Savitri is going to narrate. Here, what we have got, what are called the overhead planes. Above the mind, there are 4 overhead planes. The higher mind, the spiritual mind, intuition, overmind. Beyond overmind are the transcendental planes. So Savitri is now saying, man has come like this, like this, like this, like this. He is here now. He aspires. He receives something once in a while. He gets messages also. But now beyond that are the spiritual planes of mind. Not mental, but spiritual planes of mind. Higher mind, illumined mind, intuition, overmind, and then beyond, beyond, beyond. So Savitri is now starting on summit mind. Actually, we have got here complete description of these planes here and these passages, what we are going to see, their corresponding descriptions as we have got in the Life Divine are here in this book, page 75 onward. I quoted here passages from the Life Divine and corresponding passages what we have here in Savitri. They are the 4 overhead planes. Now the context here is again in this book. This book, page 70 onward. 70 overhead planes. The chapter's name is overhead planes. The first layer is in the overhead plane. Actually, Sri Aurobindo goes in great details in describing the future poetry in terms of overhead planes. Poetry coming from the spiritual levels. It can come from the illumined mind, it can come from the higher mind, from the illumined mind, from intuition, from overmind. There are passages in Savitri which are full of overmind inspiration. But whole Savitri is not overmind. It has grades and they fall normally between these 4 ranges. Overmind is the topmost, below that is the intuition, below that the illumined mind, and below that is the spiritual, is the higher mind. So, whole of Savitri is actually coming from those overhead planes. At times, there are passages which are absolutely psychic, coming from the deeper planes of the heart, lyrical and psychic. But mostly it is overhead poetry in Savitri. So now, we have here a lesson in the overhead poetry being given by Savitri to Yama. I don't know whether he is poetic enough to understand that, but he is talking of surreal dragon and that kind of a thing. You can't talk of a surreal dragon unless there is poetry in you see. But the surreal dragon does not belong to the overhead poetry. The passage which we have read, Yama's passage, that is actually the surreal dragon is a description which is not coming from the higher mind or illumined mind or spiritual planes. it is coming from the occult depths, from within, from the occult depth, the inner mind, the inner faculty. On summit mind, a radiant altitude, exposed to the luster of infinity, outskirts and dependencies of the house of truth, appraised states of mind and measureless. There man can visit, but there he cannot live. You see, we have not yet attained that possibility of living in those overhead planes, in the spiritual planes. So unless we do that first, we cannot even talk of transformation. It will be foolish, it will be absurd. And that overhead stretches all the way from higher mind to the overmind. All the four. Higher mind, illumined mind, then intuition, and then overmind.